book in this history because it's magnificent. Nobody, I mean, most people won't even think of James Meredith as a cornerstone in this movement, in the civil rights movement. Now I just sort of think that we've moved past the civil rights and we headed in another direction. Of course, you know the Million Man March and the Million Woman March, and now coming up in 1010 is the Justice or Else movement. And so, where do you think this is going? You think that this can merge us and help us to salvage generations? There are generations who don't even know Martin Luther King, and here we are in 2015, and where do you think we're going with this? And
she asked me two questions.
Two questions.
So I got to start with the first one.
Yes, ma'am.
The first, did you hear? Okay. The first question is, why did I decide to write this book?
This is
my mother's friend, Dorothy Mays James, in 2006 was an elementary school teacher in Memphis, Tennessee. And she said, Hazel, there's no books on this shelf on Jay, and you need to write something. Because these children have no resources to look to study about him. And she had been on my mother, Hazel, you need to write this book. So Mama wrote the first version of My Brother J. Moore. It was called a story about James Meredith, a civil rights leader, and it was for beginning readers, very few words in it. And then she wrote this one, it's more like 4th grade. But that was how, and so at the end my mother said, Meredith, write a summary for the end of the book. And when I wrote it, Miss Jordan said, you seem like you know a little bit about James Meredith, you do your own piece for an adult audience. That's exactly what she said. And I did just what she told me to do.
What would you do your own for the what first?
Do your own piece for an adult audience.
Oh, adult.
And so, what I did was, I interviewed him, and guess what? He lives in North Jackson, I live in South Jackson, and he would drive to my house so I could interview him and sit on my couch. and then I started interviewing all of his siblings. And I got most information from my Aunt Thelma. And she was born in 1922. And we lost her a couple of years ago. And then I started interviewing his first cousins. And then I started interviewing people who were involved in civil rights. What I wanted to do was, I wanted to share with people his generation. So this book is a story about the life and times of James Meredith and the America that created him and his generation. So there's tons of people in there. And I wanted to tell people about the unknown people. Because what I found in my research, I used to work for some SNCC workers. And I was a community organizer. President Obama made that because people didn't know what a community organizer was. But they used to say, oh, the old people didn't do anything in the civil rights movement. We did it all. They were teenagers, so they felt that they did it all. But when I interviewed the older people, what I found was that the reason why some of them couldn't march and sit in is because they had jobs and they had to feed their families, so they couldn't take they weren't like Fannie Lou Hamer or people who took the chance and got thrown off of the plantation and built up $5,000 for a water bill, and she didn't have water and all that kind of stuff. So, and then the other things that I found out was that some of those people who couldn't walk and march, they had sugar diabetes, so they couldn't physically keep up with a 5-mile march, but they paid their dues. Or they housed the people that came to town or fed them. So they didn't, they contributed in a lot of ways, so it wasn't just a whole different side. And what I found when I interviewed my relatives was that my great-grandmother forgave her father at the end. And I had never heard that story because my grandmother couldn't stand her mother's white father because of what he did to her. When she was a little girl, he asked my aunt to bring her in front of the window where his law office was so he could peek through the window and look at it. And they were humiliated by that. I wrote a poem about it and several poems in here. Then the second question said, where do we go from here? Now to me, we must continue to use our voice to improve this world. And we must continue, whether it's walking, singing, talking, writing, sitting in school board meetings, we can't stop. Because social justice is as bad now as, 50 years ago, when Martin Luther King did the war against poverty, he was assassinated after that. Then he spoke out against Vietnam, and we have as much poverty now than we did 50 years ago, according to statistical research that I see. So we have more people in prison than any other civilized society. Then then they're made up of people of color. Yeah. And then you have the southern states who purge people from the voting rolls forever. We have 2 states that let prisoners vote in prison, and then we have the middle that let people restore their rights after they complete parole or probation. But the South is out of touch. Then you have other civilized Western societies that are completely different from us in terms of they don't keep people from voting, and then all this started in Greece. So I think we've got to just keep going. Are there any other questions?
How do you see the, particularly in schools, the participation of women now in the education of blacks and whites and everybody? Are women not going into teaching because now they can be lawyers or, doctors, which was really, we were always going to be nurses or teachers. That was no matter what.
Well, I live in Mississippi, and 50 years ago, in terms of college, that was all we could do. We could be a teacher, a preacher, and certain things. And now we have the hardest time finding qualified teachers. People don't want to be teachers anymore.
Right.
Then it's not attractive because they don't pay well. So that's another issue. We need. Our son made his first B in his life 8th grade algebra because he didn't have a qualified algebra teacher. Right. He had been an honor student and all of that, but we have to have qualified teachers. That's very important, and that's a problem. Yeah. The pay.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere,
right.
Everywhere.
So how did you find out about Suntree Library?
Vicki Barlow.
The Social Justice Committee. That's great.
I met Vicki, I think in 2009. I was working